Having understood the concept of what is slack, that is unutilized capacity in a variable, let's talk about the concept of shadow price. The shadow price or dual price, किसका निकलता है shadow price of a limiting factor is the increase in contribution created by the availability of one additional unit of the limiting factor at the original cost, which means I have two resources which are fully used up. What are the two resources that are fully used up? Say in this case, C2 and C3 are fully used up. Okay. That means now there is no unused capacity in this resource. At this particular production level, which is some units of X and other units of Y, we'll have a specific contribution which for us is the optimum contribution. अब shadow price is telling me कि अगर I give you one more unit of labor hour, that is one more unit of the critical factor, how much more contribution will you be able to achieve? If I give you one more unit of the limiting factor, how much more contribution will I be able to achieve? ठीक है. So the shadow price of a resource can be found by calculating the increase in value, usually extra contribution, which would be created by having one additional unit of a limiting factor at the original cost. ठीक है. मतलब एक one unit of critical resource if I bring in, one more unit of limiting factor if I bring in, by how much more will my contribution go up? दैट इज वॉट शैडो प्राइस हेल्प्स मी टू कैलकुलेट. तो ये थियोरी पे 1 मिनट के बाद में आते हैं. लेट्स सी इफ वी कैन कैलकुलेट द शैडो प्राइस थ्रू अ न्यूमेरिकल क्वेश्चन. फिर इस पे वापस आएंगे ऑन द थियोरेटिकल डिस्कशन. ठीक है. In Hebrews, the optimal solution, they have given you the optimal solution, is determined to be x equal to 4, y equal to 4, giving an optimal contribution of 360. वो भी दे दिया आपको. The solution was at the intersection of lines. Cutting time 6x plus 3y equal to 36. Assembly time 4x plus 8y equal to 48. Suppose one extra hour was available for the cutting process. Calculate the shadow price for this additional hour of cutting time. ठीक है. They have told you दोनों इक्वेशन भी दे दिया एंड दे हैव ऑल्सो टोल्ड यू द फाइनल ऑप्टिमम सॉल्यूशन दैट यू नीड टू प्रोड्यूस x यूनिट्स ऑफ 4 एंड यू नीड टू प्रोड्यूस y यूनिट ऑफ 4 यूनिट्स ऑफ y. ये भी आपको दे दिया है. नाउ व्हाट इज शैडो प्राइस? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लेट्स राइट दैट डाउन. शैडो प्राइस is the additional contribution earned by employing one more unit of the critical constraint. Shadow price is the additional contribution earned by employing one more unit of the critical constraint. Now, if the answer lies at the point of intersection of 6x plus 3y, which stands for cutting time, and 4x plus 8y, which stands for assembly time. Okay. They have told you that the answer lies at the point of intersection of these two lines. ठीक है. So if it lies at the point of intersection of these two lines, that means both these resources are fully used up. ठीक है. Let's write down the original equation. Original equation. ठीक है. इसमें क्या आएगा? I'll have 6x plus 3y equal to 36 and 4x plus 8y equal to 48. ठीक है. This is equation 1. This is equation 2. This is cutting time. This is assembly time. ठीक है, cutting time, assembly time. Now, my optimal solution lies at the point of intersection of these two lines. The optimal solution lies at the point of intersection of these two lines. ठीक है, optimal solution lies at the point of intersection of these two lines, which means the point lies on the line, neither above nor below. This point lies on the line, neither above nor below. That means both these resources are fully used up. Okay. Both these resources are fully used up because the optimal solution lies at the point of intersection of these two lines. ठीक है. There is no unused capacity. That is slack. ठीक है. There is no unused capacity in either cutting time and assembly time. Now, suppose one more unit of cutting time is available. ठीक है. Suppose one more unit, rather one more unit of critical resources made available. ठीक है. आपका total cutting time was 6x plus 3y equal to 36. So 36 was the total cutting time that was available with you. ठीक है. If 36 hours was the total cutting time available with you, that means if I am giving you one more unit of the limiting factor, तो आपके पास अभी 36 नहीं, now you will get 37 hours of cutting time. ठीक है. So originally you had 36 hours of cutting time. ठीक है. Originally you had 36 hours of cutting time. Now one more hour is made available. ठीक है. Originally you had 36 hours. Now one more hour is made available. ठीक है. So that means now we will have 37 hours of cutting time available. So what is your updated equation going to be? Your updated equation is going to be revised equation is going to be 6x plus 3y equal to 37. ठीक है. Now you have one more R available of the limiting factor or the critical resource. Let me call it my equation 3. Okay. So now what are the two constraints? You have 6x plus 3y equal to 37, which is your updated cutting time. Okay. And you have a 4x plus 8y equal to 48. That is assembly time wala equation. So solving equations 2 and 3 together. Eliminate. What do you want to eliminate? Let's eliminate x. उसके लिए I will say 4 and 6. Least common multiple is 12. So I will say multiply 2 equation 2 by 3 by the number 3. ठीक है. So क्या हो जाएगा? 3 into 4x plus 8y equal to 48 into 3. ठीक है, so 12x plus 24y equal to 48 into 3, that is 144. ये हो गया आपका इक्वेशन 4. ठीक है, एंड आई हैव टू मल्टीप्लाई 3 बाय 2. Multiply equation 3 by the number 2. So 2 into 6x plus 3y is 37 into 3. Sorry, into 2. Multiplying both sides by the same number. So मुझे मिलेगा 12x plus 6y equal to 37 into 2, 74. This is equation 5. Are you with me so far? Does it make sense? Now, subtracting 5 from 4. ठीक है, so 12x plus 24y माइनस ब्रैकेट के अंदर 12x plus 6y. This is equal to 144 minus 74. 144 minus 74. So 12x plus 24y minus 12x minus 6y. ठीक है, 144 minus 74, that is 70. ठीक है, अब naturally 12x will get eliminated. तो कितना बचेगा आपके पास? You will get 18y equal to 70. 18y equal to 70. So y equal to 70 by 18 कितना होगा? 70 upon 18, 3.89. 3.89. This will be the value of y. And substituting y equal to 3.89 in, say, equation number 3, for example, or 3, 4, anything, wherever you want to substitute, we get x equal to कितना मिलेगा? X will be equal to 4.22. So what is the new solution? The new solution says make 4.22 units of X and 3.89 units of Y. Make 4.22 units of X and 3.89 units of Y. What was my objective function? Objective function was with respect to contribution. Maximize 50x plus 40y. ठीक है, so under this, what if we make 4.22 units of x and 3.89 units of y, contribution will be how much? कितना बनेगा contribution? 50 into 4.22 plus 40 into 3.89, 366.60. Earlier, you were making a contribution of 360. Now your contribution is 366.6. So contribution will be, this is updated new. ठीक है, this is my original contribution, 360. So what is the additional contribution achieved? Original contribution achieved is 366.60 minus 360, that is 6.6. So 6.6 is my shadow price. 6.6 is my shadow price. What does that mean? If I have one more hour of cutting time, I can generate additional contribution of 6.60. If I have one more hour of cutting time, I can generate additional contribution of 6.60. Now, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड कि इसका यूज कैसे होता है. इफ आई नो दैट माई शैडो प्राइस इज 6.60, विच मीन्स when I make one more, when I have one more unit of the critical resource, that is cutting time, I can make additional contribution of 6.6. Imagine that you are in a situation where you are negotiating with someone. What are you negotiating? You are negotiating, say for example, the labor time. ठीक है, आप लेबर जो है उसके साथ यू आर नेगोशिएटिंग द पर आवर का रेट. ठीक है, यू वांट हिम टू वर्क एक्स्ट्रा फॉर यू एंड ही इज negotiating कि how much will you pay me. You know that if one more hour of labor is used, आपको additional contribution मिलेगा 10 रुपीज का. ठीक है, if one more hour of labor is used, आपको additional contribution मिलेगा 10 रुपीज का, which means the overtime के लिए extra money that you are going to pay him, that has to be less than 10. Otherwise the whole activity will not make any sense. I will repeat. What is my shadow price? Say my shadow price is 10 for labor hours. Shadow price is 10 for labor hours का मतलब if I get one more hour of labor time to do my activity, I will earn 10 more rupees का contribution. ठीक है, and now this labor is negotiating with me for additional money for overtime work. How much should I pay him? Maximum I can go up to is the number 10. Because after using one more hour of additional labor time, I am getting 10 rupees ka contribution, additional contribution. So additional cost must be less than 10 only. It cannot exceed 10. Okay. This is how the idea of shadow price is used in negotiating purposes also. So don't look at shadow price as only a calculation. Of course, calculation we will do for our exams, but we need to understand the basic DNA कि भाई ये shadow price use किस में होता है. Shadow price is used further for negotiation purposes also. So what are the steps? Take the equations of the straight lines that intersect at the optimal point. Add one more unit to the constraint concerned by leaving the other constraint unchanged. What constraint were you getting more now? You were getting one more hour of कटिंग टाइम. तो 36 में आपने एक ऐड कर दिया. लीव द अदर कंस्ट्रेंट अनचेंज्ड बिकॉज उसका एडिशनल दिस थिंग यू आर नॉट गेटिंग. Use the simultaneous equations to derive a new optimal solution. Calculate the revised optimal contribution and compare to the original contribution achieved. That difference is your shadow price. Suppose material is a critical resource. So if I say that shadow price for the material is 10 per kg, what does that mean? That if I purchased and use one more unit of material, I will get an additional contribution of 10 rupees. Suppose the current material rate is 3 per kg. This material is in shortage in the market. ये material कम quantity में available है. What maximum price will I be willing to pay for this material? अभी this material is in shortage, so suppliers are increasing the price. Maximum I can pay for this material is 10, because 10 is the additional contribution I receive by using one more kg of this particular material. उससे ज्यादा अगर कोई supplier मांगेगा, I'll say bye bye. I don't want it from you, because if I'm paying 11 rupees extra for the material, but it is generating an additional contribution of only 10, that means my purpose gets defeated, na? My purpose gets defeated, and there's no point in going ahead with this particular additional production, because उससे तो लॉस ही होने वाला है. So you might as well drop it. So shadow price is an important factor in decision making, in negotiation. All of these places the concept of shadow price is used. एंड जो रिसोर्स में स्लैक होगा, वो रिसोर्स में शैडो प्राइस नहीं होगा. व्हाई? बिकॉज शैडो प्राइस इज द एडिशनल कंट्रीब्यूशन रिसीव्ड व्हेन यू गेट वन मोर यूनिट ऑफ द limiting factor. But if there is a slack, that means that resource is not fully utilized. So the concept of shadow price will not apply to that resource which has a slack. Shadow price applies only to those cases where both the resources are fully utilized. उसमें you will be able to calculate shadow price. आप shadow price जो रिसोर्स में स्लैक है, जो रिसोर्स में अनयूज्ड कैपेसिटी है, दैट रिसोर्स विच हैज एन अनयूज्ड कैपेसिटी कैन नेवर गिव यू अ शैडो प्राइस. ठीक है. नॉन क्रिटिकल कंस्ट्रेंट्स विल हैव जीरो शैडो प्राइस एज स्लैक ऑलरेडी एग्जिस्ट्स. ठीक है. एनी क्वेश्चंस ऑन दिस फ्रंट सो फार? If you have questions, of course, you can put it in the chat box for me to go. Otherwise, we'll start with the next question. Okay. This is, they want you to calculate the shadow price for machining time. Using the following data, calculate the shadow price for machining time. Maximize C equal to 80x plus 75y, which is the contribution, subject to 20x plus 25y less than or equal to 500, 40x plus 25y less than or equal to 800. The optimal solution lies at the intersection of the above constraints, that is x equal to 15 and y equal to 8. Your original two equations are 20x plus 25y. So original constraints. ठीक है. What are the original constraints? 20x plus 25y. ठीक है. This is equal to 500 and 40x plus 25y is equal to 800. ठीक है. This is my equation 1 and this is my equation 2. ठीक है. 20x plus 25y, 40x plus 25y. Constraint 1, constraint 2. If they want you to calculate shadow price for machine hour, ठीक है, that means what is the additional contribution achieved if if I have one more unit of machining time. ठीक है. So earlier we had 500 hours. Now we will have 501 hours. ठीक है. So 20x plus 25y equal to 501. ठीक है. This is my equation 3. Now I have to solve equation 2 and equation 3. I can easily eliminate the variable x. How will I eliminate the variable x? So multiply equation 3 by 2. ठीक है. 2 into 20x plus 25y into 2. दिस इज माई इक्वेशन 4। ठीक है, ये हो जाएगा आपका 40x प्लस 50y। यहाँ पे आई कैन राइट 501 इंटू 2। ठीक है, now I have equation 2 and I have equation 4. So now what I'm going to do is equation 4 minus equation 2। ठीक है, so 40x plus 50y minus 40x plus 25y. This should be equal to 1002 minus 800। अब 40x plus 50y minus 40x minus 25y, 202। 40x, 40x cancel. What are you left with? You are left with 25y। 25y equal to 202। ठीक है, so that means y will be equal to 202 upon 50, and 202 upon 50 gives me कितना? Did we do it right? Did we subtract the correct numbers? And this has to be upon 25। 202 upon 25। ठीक है, y is 8.08। Now substituting y equal to 8.08 in equation say 4 या equation 3 anywhere, we get x equal to 14.95। अब try to see what is the updated contribution. Your objective function was 80x plus 75y. Okay, so what is the updated contribution? 80 into 14.95 plus 75 into 8.08. 80 into 14.95 plus 75 into 8.08, 1802. Earlier you were getting how much contribution? You were getting 80 into 15 plus 75 into 8. You are getting 1800। ठीक है, so original contribution is 80 into 15 plus 75 into 8, which is 1800। So naturally my shadow price is the additional contribution earned, which is 1802 minus 1800। Have a look at this properly, एक बार examine करो। So 2 is the shadow price. Why? Because 2 is the additional contribution earned by producing one more unit of the, by having one more unit of the limiting factor, not producing. Excuse me. What is shadow price? Shadow price is the additional contribution earned by when you have one more unit of the limiting factor। ठीक है, चलो let's have a look at one more question। ठीक है, This is a part of a section B question. Okay. This is a part of a section B question. Let's see how to approach this one. Suppose a linear programming problem gives the following results. Constraint, नॉर्मल कॉस्ट शैडो प्राइस, स्किल्ड लेबर, थोड़ा सा मैं मैग्निफिकेशन इंक्रीज करता हूं, स्किल्ड लेबर नॉर्मल कॉस्ट इज 20 पर आवर, शैडो प्राइस इज 12 पर आवर, अनस्किल्ड लेबर 10 पर आवर, शैडो प्राइस इज 0, मटीरियल नॉर्मल कॉस्ट इज 5, शैडो प्राइस इज 3 per kg. Which two constraints give rise to the optimal solution? Now if you look at unskilled labor, ठीक है, unskilled labor has zero shadow price. Now only that variable has a zero shadow price जिसमें there is slack, right? If there is slack, that means there is unused capacity, so there is no question of bringing in one more unit of that particular item or that particular resource. So unskilled labor में the shadow price is zero, there is no problem here. ठीक है, बिकॉज यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी देर मस्ट बी एन अबंडेंस ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर रिसोर्स, तो अनयूटिलाइज्ड कैपेसिटी है, बिकॉज देर इज शैडो प्राइस जीरो मीन्स देर इज अनयूटिलाइज्ड कैपेसिटी. ठीक है, सो शैडो प्राइस ऑफ unskilled labor is zero. That means there is unused capacity left in unskilled labor. ठीक है, there is unused capacity in unskilled labor, there is slack. So this is which goes to say this is not a critical resource. ठीक है, unskilled labor is not a critical resource because it has zero shadow price, which means there is slack, which means it doesn't lie on the line which, or it doesn't lie, the solution doesn't lie on this line. If you observe skilled labor में 12 hours का $12 per hour का शैडो प्राइस है, मटेरियल में 3 kg पर आवर का शैडो प्राइस है. ठीक है, सो skilled labor and material both have a shadow price. That means both resources are critical. The optimal solution has to lie at the point of intersection of these two lines. ये दोनों लाइंस में शैडो प्राइस है. What does that mean? If there is shadow price in these two lines, that very clearly means that there is a resource which is in limited proportion. ठीक है, there is a resource which is there in a limited proportion in these two specific resources. ठीक है, skill labor limited है, which is why bringing in one more unit gives you an additional contribution of 12. There is a scope to bring one more unit. Material भी limited resources, so that means you have the scope to bring one more unit of material. Unskilled labor में there was no shadow price. That means even if, so there is no question of bringing in one more unit of the additional resource. This is a non-critical resource. But skilled labor and आपका जो मटेरियल है, both these are critical resources. So the optimal solution has to lie at the point of intersection of these two lines. So if somebody is now asking you which two of these will give you the optimal solution, you should pick up skilled labor and you should pick up material. These two will give me the optimal solution. स्किल लेबर एंड मटेरियल का जो लाइन आप ड्रॉ करेंगे, उसके पॉइंट ऑफ इंटरसेक्शन पे यू विल गेट द ऑप्टिमल सॉल्यूशन. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट पार्ट. सेकंड पार्ट इज ओवर टाइम इज पेड एट टाइम एंड अ हाफ. Is it worth paying overtime to help relax the constraint? What is the current rate per hour? Current labor rate per hour is 10. Sorry, 10 need 20. Current labor rate per hour is 20 per hour. Then what is the overtime? They are saying overtime is paid at time and a half. So overtime payment is time and a half. टाइम एंड हाफ मीन्स अभी आप कितना दे रहे हो? अभी यू आर पेइंग 20 पर आवर. 20 इंटू 1.5 दैट इज 30 पर आवर. ठीक है. करंट लेबर रेट पर आवर इज 20. ओवर टाइम पेमेंट इज टाइम एंड हाफ. ठीक है. सो इफ अ लेबर वर्क्स फॉर 1 extra hour, how much more do I have to pay? When he works usually उसको 20 per hour मिलता है. When he does overtime he gets 30 per hour. So additional cost borne will be 30 minus 20, that is 10. When a labor works for 1 more hour, you have to pay 10 rupees extra. But whenever a labor works for 1 more hour, you get $12 extra. ठीक है. Whenever a labor works for 1 extra hour, it gives us a it gives us an additional contribution. ठीक है. It gives us an additional contribution of 12 per hour. Okay, so when you bring in 1 more hour of labor, you have to pay 10 rupees extra. But when that one labor works for 1 extra hour, how much additional contribution you are generating? You are generating an additional contribution of 12. So it is completely worthwhile. है ना? It is completely worthwhile. If that is the question. So worthwhile for skilled labor. So worthwhile for skilled labor because skilled labor limited quantity में है ना. तो enough for skilled labor. But there is no need to do that in unskilled labor because there is unused capacity. So you don't have to pay any extra time in unskilled labor. ठीक है. Now, a new product has been proposed with the following proposed cost and revenue. Selling price दिया है skilled labor, unskilled labor, material and profit per unit. Assuming that the constraints cannot be relaxed, should the new product be manufactured? ठीक है. So constraints cannot be relaxed. So if some resources are deployed in making an existing product, I cannot remove them from there and deploy it to the new product. So अगर new product बनाना है तो I have to go and purchase additional inputs. A new product that you are making has been proposed with the following proposed cost and revenue. ये new product है. Maybe this is for the existing product. ठीक है. Assuming that the constraints cannot be relaxed. So if some resources are deployed in the making of the new product, वो मुझे बाहर से लाना पड़ेगा. ठीक है. Constraints cannot be relaxed. Now the question is, what are the original constraints? This is the stem of the question. ये base question है. ठीक है. These are the original constraints. Constraints cannot be relaxed. What are the constraints? This question will come to your mind. ठीक है. The constraints are skilled labor and material. Constraints are skilled labor and material. Check the first 5 lines. Skilled labor and material are limited and they cannot be relaxed. they cannot be relaxed. What does that mean? If you have, that means if you have to make one more, if you have to make 1 unit of new product, you cannot deploy resources by taking them away from the current product. ठीक है. So जो यहाँ पे क्या what they are saying is constraints cannot be relaxed. These are the constraints, which means whatever original production you were doing, वहां से you cannot remove anyone. You cannot bring people out of that production process. You cannot remove material out of that production process. That means if you have to make something new, you will have to bring in additional material right now, or you will have to bring in additional skilled labor hours right now. If I want to get one more unit of skilled labor, what is the maximum price I will be willing to pay? And if I am willing to get one more unit of material, what is the maximum price I am willing to pay? The question is, which resources are in shortage right now? The answer to that question is skilled labor and material are in shortage right now. And if I bring in one more unit of skilled labor, how much more am I willing to pay? Now आपने कैलकुलेट किया था कि शैडो प्राइस, now calculate नहीं किया था, it was given to you that the shadow price of skilled labor is 12 per hour, which means when you bring in one more unit of skilled labor, you will get an additional contribution of 12 per hour. ठीक है, मैक्सिमम आपको additional contribution मिल सकता है 12. So how much more are you willing to pay? So you will have to pay the normal rate of 20 per hour, and over and above that, how much more are you willing to pay? Maximum you can pay is 12. ठीक है. One additional unit of skilled labor brings in additional contribution of 12. ठीक है. One additional unit of skilled labor brings in additional contribution of 12 per unit of 12. So max I can pay is up to 12 per hour, not more. Because usse zyada if I pay 13 per hour, then I am putting myself in a net loss position. I am spending 13 extra and I am getting 12 extra. So that doesn't work for me. This is what works for me. So maximum I will pay will be 20 original plus 12 shadow price. That is equal to 32 per hour. This is the maximum I'm willing to pay. Okay. Maximum I'm willing to pay is 32 per hour. Similarly, for material, the existing rate is 5 per kg. Shadow price is 3 per kg. ठीक है. Material is 5 per kg. Shadow price is 3 per kg. So maximum I will pay for material will be 5 original plus 3 shadow price, that is 8. Maximum I'm willing to pay is 8 for material. So what is my revised cost sheet? Let's prepare. Let's prepare our revised cost sheet. Okay, where do I get it from? यहाँ से number उठाओ. Just we'll make changes to these numbers. Selling price is 80. Skilled labor 2 hours at the rate of not 20, because I cannot take resource from that particular activity. I have to bring in a fresh resource. I have to bring in additional unit of the resource, or additional unit of the resource will demand more money. आई एम विलिंग टू पे 32 minus 64. Unskilled labor में no difference. Material maximum I'm willing to pay is 8 per kg. So 24. What is the profit slash loss? Okay. What is the profit slash loss? 80 minus 64 minus 10 minus 24 minus 18. Again, that means not worthwhile. Making this product is resulting in a loss. And why is it resulting in a loss? Normally अगर आपके पास like unskilled labor में you see there was unused capacity, so we didn't have a problem. But in skilled labor and material there was no unused capacity. वो limited proportion में ही था वो resource. So if you are bringing in one more unit of that resource, how much additional cost you have to pay? And the question said that the original constraints cannot be relaxed. आप यहाँ से कुछ भी remove नहीं कर सकते. You cannot remove anything from the existing product. So you will have to bring in additional units of the skilled labor and additional units of material. वो लाने के बाद now you get a clear picture कि भाई you are ending up in a loss of 18. So you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't produce this particular product. Not worthwhile. ठीक है? Now I have two very interesting questions from the exam kit that I will be solving with you. These are ग्राफ बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस. ठीक है, तो अच्छे से इसको मैग्नीफाई करते हैं और करते हैं. You can see it clearly now. Which of the following resources will have a shadow price greater than zero? Shadow price is greater than zero only if shadow price is zero for a non-critical resource. ठीक है, shadow price is zero for a non-critical resource. If a resource is critical, that is in limited quantity, it will have a shadow price. ठीक है, अब you have to understand. Now you read the question. Point B has been determined to be the point which provides the optimal production plan. थोड़ा और इसको, अरे, let's magnify it a little more. Point B gives you the optimal production plan. Now point B lies at the intersection of this line R, ठीक है, and this line A. ये लाइन देखो, this point lies at the intersection of which two lines? This is your uh, point of intersection. It lies at the intersection of DLRs, that is direct labor hours. ये लाइन पास हो रहा है यहां से, and this line R equal to 500. ठीक है. Now see, which of the following resources will have a shadow price greater than zero? Direct labor hours. Are direct labor hours uh, fully utilized? Yes, direct labor hours are fully utilized because the optimal solution lies on the line. So direct labor hours में आपका shadow price will be greater than zero. If you think of material A, the line for material A, यहाँ पे देखो, this line is above, हाँ, ये line जो है, this is above this particular line, इस direction में है, this is above this particular line, material A का line. So material A is not fully utilized. Because material A is not fully utilized, that means देखो इसके ऊपर है इधर भी. So that means there is unutilized capacity. So material A, या if I talk about material A हो गया या material B हो गया, both of these are above the optimal solution का point. Hence these are available in abundance. So there will be no shadow price. Shadow price will be zero. Only for direct labor hours will the shadow price be greater than zero. ठीक है. So just a point for your future reference. इसको बाद में study whenever you are doing this ना, थोड़ा magnify करके देखो. You will understand that the मटीरियल बी का लाइन, मटीरियल ए का लाइन, मशीन आवर्स का लाइन देखो, दिस इज मशीन आवर्स का लाइन, दिस इज द ऑप्टिमल सॉल्यूशन, इसके काफी ऊपर है. So that means the optimal solution is below the machine hours ka line. That means there is still unused capacity here. Fair enough? Okay, chalo. An organization has graphed the following linear programming model. All constraints have less than or equal to constraints. What is the maximum number of units of product B that can be produced? This is constraint 1, this is constraint 2, this is constraint 3. ठीक है, constraint 1 है, these are all less than or equal to constraints, मतलब optimal solution will lie on the left. This is also less than or equal to constraint, optimal solution will lie on the left of this line. इसके भी left में रहेगा. So ultimately my feasible region is only this much. इतना ही है मेरा feasible region. इतना ही है. So 60, 0, 60. So 0, 60, 0 and 0, 60 are my three corner points of the feasible region. If these are the three corner points of the feasible region, optimal solution has to lie on these points. 0, 0 पे तो होगा नहीं. They have asked me what is the maximum number of units of product B which can be produced. The answer has to be this much, which is 60 units. The maximum units of product B which you can produce are 60. ठीक है? Chalo. So with this, we have discussed with additional questions what is shadow price and what is slack.